Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for a new segment that we're putting on CTV. It's called Your Money, and that's what we're going to talk about. Your money, how to earn it, how to protect it, and how to save it. So with that, we're going to have various experts throughout our community come in and talk to us about their experience and the advice that they offer their clients, their loved ones. So we're very excited to get this underway because it's such an important topic, especially when there's so much uncertainty in the market right now and in the economy as a whole. So our first guest is Garrett Wagner, a local CPA. Thank you so much, Garrett, for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, Adam, fun to be here. First episode, that's exciting. You know, get going on some financial money, let's say literacy.
Yeah.
Helping people, because nowadays people don't always understand money and finances. So it's great to inform people more, even some basic stuff to start with of how do you just think about money in a proactive way so you don't run into trouble.
Absolutely. And by the way, I want to thank you. If you recognize Garrett, that's because you have been on our morning show for a long time. So we really appreciate everything coming in. When it comes to when someone approaches you at a party and they say, hey, I don't, my son needs some advice. Well, what's kind of the first thing you say to them?
I mean, usually it kind of comes back to that's great. They need advice, but really what do they want to do? Because even if your parent or your son or your friend, that's fine. Great. You're asking for them. Great that you care. But when we talk to clients one-on-one, we always start with what do you want to do financially with your life? Because if we don't know that, if we don't know where you're going, then you're just kind of adrift, like to say, at the sea. You're flopping around, you're going here, you're going there. If the market's good, you might be happy. If it's bad, you might be sad. But what do you want to do as a person? What do you want to have happen in your life? What is success to you? What does financial independence or struggle look like? Until we get to that of what do you want to do, everything else is just like white noise because it's not about what you want to accomplish. I can tell you what I want to do. You can pass it on to your son, but that might not be what he wants to do.
That's interesting. Do you find a lot of your conversations end up venturing into bigger topics?
Oh, absolutely.
What life looks like for that person?
Because if we don't get into what life looks to that person, what you want to do, the advice is usually just reflection of what I want to say, what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Because I always tell our clients, it's not our job to judge what you want to do. If you want to be ultra conservative with your money, you want to be ultra aggressive, if you want to leave it all to charity, all to your kids, if you want to spend it all, in a conversation with people that would rather travel, it's not our role as advisors to judge that. It's our role to be like, hey, I'm going to listen, hear what you want to do, and then let's map out a plan to get there.
Garrett, I'm so sorry. There was a little glitch in the system here. We're going to have to start over, but you would do exactly what you've been doing. Hey, welcome everybody. We are starting a new segment here on the Rochester First app, and we're going to be talking about your money. And we're going to talk about how you earn it, how you save it, how you protect it. And we're going to invite various experts throughout our community to pass along the advice that they give to their clients, their loved ones, to you. As you know, in these uncertain times with the stock market, with the job market, with the economy at large, a lot of you have questions about where to go, what to do. And so we are going to try and help in whatever way we can. And we're bringing back a familiar face to help us do that at the very start of this, Garrett Wagner, a CPA in our area. Garrett, thank you so much for joining us.
Adam, happy to be back again. It's been many years since I was on the air here with you guys, and happy to share some knowledge with everyone in Rochester and the surrounding areas.
All right, well, we'll start with this. We're going to talk about a couple of main points, but before we get there, you're at a party and a dad comes up to you and says, my son just got out of college, he needs some advice. Where do you start with that conversation?
Yeah, and a lot of times, it's great that your parents are looking out for you, or a friend is looking out for you, but it always comes back to, we want to hear directly from that person, what do they want to do? So as we say, there's just kind of a drift in the sea of their happy and good times and sad and bad times. They're just being pushed around. But it comes down to not being adrift or being a little more anchored of what do you want to accomplish? And that's really our role. Usually I tell those people, hey, have your friend reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to them anytime, because it's a lot for us in our role as advisors, helping them understand where they want to go. And that's really our role, not to judge, but to support them in where they want to go.
And so when you sit down with clients, there must be moments where it ventures off into life. What do you want to do? What do you want out of life?
Absolutely. Because if we don't talk about what you want to do in life, then it's just a reflection of us. There's some general best practices and you leave unfulfilled and you're not going to follow. You're still adrift, right? We've got to help you understand and verbalize, what do you want to do? Because our role is not to provide you a right or wrong answer. If you want to save aggressively, that's great. If you want to live a more lavish lifestyle, it's your choice. If you want to give to charity, you want to support your kids, whatever it is, our role is not to judge, but help you verbalize, where do you want to go? So we can then work with you to put a plan together to get there across all those moving pieces.
I think one of the universals for a lot of us is budgeting. So no matter where you want to go or what your lifestyle looks like, you have to stay within a budget. And it's so much easier said than done.
Oh, yeah.
Where can people start with something like that?
And budgeting's hard because it's a little bit like time management. Like it's really, really hard. It's easy to tell people to do it. And then it's very different for every person. You know, for some people it's easy and some people it's hard. So I like to start with just keep it super, super basic to start with. You know, think about what's the limited number of things that a person can budget and stay on top of. You know, is it just that discretionary spending of, hey, you're just going to spend 50, 200, 500 bucks a month extra on whatever. Like, let's just cap that to start with. Because if you do too much, they're just going to like get overwhelmed and stop.
And I think we're seeing a lot of products come in, even with my credit card, for example. I see the big circle and you say you spent this here, and then you have Excel spreadsheets, and then you have this. It can get overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have any advice on programs or anything that
I mean,
people
for
can
most people out there, you're not an accountant or in finance, it's overwhelming. Like, do you really want to spend all this time and effort to track these things and to look at it? There's probably a reason why, if you're not the controller for a company doing budgeting, you have a different job. So expecting people to run a business for their life, it's too much. You know, a lot of small businesses struggle to do that. You think a person's going to do it?
So where do they go? What do you do?
That's why I said, keep it super simple of like, hey, here's my discretionary budget.
Yeah.
50, 200, pick an amount. Here's how much I'm going to spend for this month on that whatever category. You know, whether it's coffee or it's whatever that superfluous thing is to you, clothes, toys, sporting tickets. Keep it simple, because otherwise we can go hours and hours about budgeting apps and tools,
right? But
most people just struggle to use them, and then it becomes pointless.
I couldn't agree more. I wonder though, like, how do you keep track of that then? So let's say you have $200 to spend on dining out. Like, do you keep like a little ledger so you know where that is? What do you do?
Yeah, it depends. Some people, super simple, like the envelope method, put $200 in an envelope, right? Mm-hmm. When it's gone, it's gone. Some people, they like to use Excel, put it in Excel. If you're more a paper and pencil person, start at the beginning of the month, $200, keep it tallied down. If you've got a credit card, maybe pick that and just say, hey, $200 on this card this month. Super simple. I can see on my phone every single day what it is. When I hit $200, I'm going to stop myself.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. Whatever works for you, everyone's going to respond to that differently. So there's no one size fits all.
My next question is obviously based on people making enough money for this to be applicable, but I've always heard people say something like, make sure you're spending only 20% of your salary on living costs, like your mortgage or your rent. Is that the number that you've heard as well?
Yeah, that's kind of that. It's been around forever. It's about 25% of your monthly salary should go to your living. So rent, mortgage, whatever.
Yeah, and obviously with rent and stuff these days, I think that's where it gets very hard for people.
Yes, nowadays that's gotten a little bit harder to do, which means, okay, if now my rent's 35%, where else can I pull back?
Right, exactly.
You know, what do I got to do? Or do I need to find a cheaper place to live? Which is a bigger question to kind of unpack of, okay, now what does that look like? What are the pros and cons of that? Well, yeah, that cost of living is becoming one of those increasingly difficult ones. And for the first time ever, almost ever here in Rochester, we've seen rising costs for houses and rising rent costs. We haven't really seen that, right? You and I both grew up here, like.
That was like the adage, right? Like
Yes.
I forget the expression that people used, but it was basically like everyone else would rise and fall and we were steady Eddie.
Yes, yeah, 100%. We were steady Eddie. And now all of a sudden, like, we're experiencing that, like, oh my God, like,
Right,
what does it look like when our houses are now worth twice as much as they were 2 years ago?
right. Which comes with its own issues sometimes, good and bad for people, because if they get reassessed, for seeing that out there as well. So as far as budgeting apps, you got all the stuff you can put on your phone. Are you kind of the mindset like maybe that might not be for everybody?
Yeah, I mean, most people, they're even the simple ones can be complex, and then it just becomes overwhelming. It's so much time to get started. I mean, even on my side, I have a lot of friends who are CPAs, who can't stick with it and do it.
Really?
So if you've got someone that went to school for accounting and has a bachelor's or master's in accounting and works in accounting full time, kind of being like, I threw the towel in, I can't do this. For the rest of us, just keep it simple.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it. There's a reason why most people can't stick with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am sure you've heard and talked with people who say, well, I know you told me I'll have this discretionary budget, but I really wanted this one thing. I mean, what kind of advice do you offer those folks who do like to splurge every once in a while?
I mean, it just comes down to that willpower and that choice of like, if you're a splurger, how do you offset that? If you don't offset that, here's how it's going to compound and get out of control.
Yeah.
And then it just gets harder and harder. Once you get behind and once you start to build up that bigger credit card debt or the buy now, pay later, that's the newest trend.
What does that mean?
I don't know if you've seen this online. A lot of places where you go and shop now, they'll give you the option to buy now, pay later. Instead of using your credit card, you kind of finance through a third party through that vendor's website.
Oh yeah, I have seen that. Especially, I think that I've seen that with furniture in particular.
Yes.
But now you're right. I think it's even expanded to, I see it with Apple and things like
They're
that.
just trying to make it easier for you to spend your money so they can take your money.
Right.
Right. And then they don't want you to read and say like, oh, how much interest is that? That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Even if they offer zero interest, is that something that you express caution about?
Yeah. I mean, you just got to understand that if they offer zero interest, that is a good deal from a money standpoint.
Yeah.
You've just got to make sure that whenever that period ends, 3, 6, 12, 18 months, you've got to have that money.
Yeah.
Because if it's 6 months interest only, that interest a lot of times still accrues. And if you don't pay it off at the end of 6 months, they're then going to charge you that interest for 6 months. And it's going to balloon out of control.
When you talk about budgeting, you kind of say, well, this money is going to my house or where I'm living. This money goes to my car. Obviously, you always hear put money in a 401k. Is that still like, 6% or whatever people match? Like when you try to budget things out, is that still the general recommendation?
I mean, it's still generally, hey, however much money you have that you can put in your 401k, the more the better. There's some people out there that are more aggressive. That feel like, hey, I'm going to keep my money and I feel like I can invest it in the market, that want to be a little more risky. But for the most people who aren't looking to like gamble, put that money in your 401k. Live a simple life. The stress you will endure trying to beat the market to earn a little bit more than your 401k often is not worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you find, are you getting a lot of clients who are picking up second jobs now to expand the budget a little bit?
I mean, we're definitely seeing that more in the under like 40 crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Where that second job, that side gig is becoming more and more popular as they try and either like start their own business or do a little Uber driving on the side. Once again, they're trying to make a little bit more money. They want some flexibility. And it's become much easier to get into it.
Yeah.
15, 20 years ago, for both of us about the same age, like there wasn't those opportunities. Like you couldn't easily get a side gig. Like nowadays, I can get on my phone right now and I could probably start driving for Uber or Instacart tonight.
I do need a lift, by the way.
Yeah. So I can charge you, I'll give you a flat good fee. But it's made it easier. It's that luring thing of, okay, I'm being encouraged to spend more. And then I'm being encouraged as well to do these extra side gigs.
Yeah.
And it's not seen as a negativity.
Yeah.
There's not a stigma around it like there necessarily might have been 20 years ago that you've got a side gig outside your main one and it's a little frowned upon. Now it's just like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
everyone's.
And even employers used to frown on moonlighting, but that's kind of gone down. I feel it's a feeling on my end more than
Yes, no, we've 100% seen that because it's there. There's more and more opportunities for that moonlighting than ever before.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's Uber, Instacart, I mean, selling on Amazon, Etsy, social media stuff, like there's just so many.
Yeah, and the good thing is if you're out there earning money, you're not spending money usually, so it might not
Fingers
be the,
crossed, right? Yeah.
It might not be the worst thing. I was talking to someone about Gen Z. They're not partying as much as our generation did,
Okay.
and that's partly because it's just so darn expensive. I mean, we used to go out to the bar, and I don't know about you, but and it was $5 a pitcher at Darwin's in Syracuse, and you'd get one of those and you'd be good for the rest of the night. Now, I mean, if you want to go out, it's going to cost you well over $100.
Yeah, and that's driven that change of like those small nights out are not as popular. Now it's a little more like save up for this big lavish like trip extravaganza.
Yeah.
But yeah, that local thing, it is expensive.
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
the way around.
Any other advice for folks who are looking at budget before we move on to the next topic here?
I mean, really come back down to like with that budget, understand and think about what do you want to accomplish? What do you want to do? Whether that's the short term, like 6 months to 1 year, you want to save more, you want to pay down some credit card debt, or long term, like what does that retirement plan look like? If you need help, talk to your accountant, talk to your financial advisor. They can help you kind of start to map out that path.
Yeah. Excellent. So stay with us, Garrett. We are going to be right back. We're going to take a very short break, get some water, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about how you essentially create a safety net. So should things go in a direction you didn't anticipate, how do you maneuver and make sure that you are going to be financially secure? So again, that conversation is coming up in just a minute. We sure hope that you can stay with us for that, and we'll see you back here in a moment. As promised, we are back and we are rejoined by Garrett Wagner. Garrett, thank you. CPA. What's your accounting firm, by the way?
C3 Advisory.
C3 Advisory. Thank you so much for coming on. For those of you who have been watching, you got a wonderful set of advice regarding how to budget, and really not just how to budget, but how to think about budgeting and how it relates to what you want to do in life and what's actually possible. So now we're going to turn the conversation to a little beyond. You've budgeted well, you've saved a little bit of money, hopefully, and something goes awry. And maybe it's a medical bill or something, who knows, right? There's a relative, there's innumerable things that can stress the budget, so to speak. How do you go about making sure that there's a safety net for yourself, a safety plan?
If you can't invent time travel, then it's about you planning ahead. Because the worst calls we get from our clients is when something happens and they say, I need help right now. I just lost my job. I had a major medical bill. Like, I'm in debt. What can I do right now? Then it's too late. This is really, you got to back that up to, okay, it's today. I've got time. What can I do to build that safety net?
Yeah.
One of the basic things, if you own your home, having a home equity line of credit in place.
Yeah.
Don't use it, get it set up. That way you know the limit. You've got 30, 60, $100,000 you know's there if you need it. Don't use it. Don't consider that like surplus money to buy something extravagant, but just have that set aside.
That is such a great piece of advice. How long, if you don't have it set up, but you do have equity in your house, how long would that take to set up should there be an emergency?
I mean, depending on the bank and the situation, it could be weeks.
Okay.
It's
definitely.
not, banks are not design those as quick, like you walk in today at 10 in the morning and when the hour, it's going to be done.
Yeah.
So
get it set up now. Does it cost anything to have it set up, or can it just sit there?
Depends on the bank. There can be some initial setup transactions, but to have it sit there for most of them, there is no ongoing fee for it to be there.
And is it an annual maintenance fee or anything like that? Or
most
once you
of them
have
there's
it?
Not.
Okay, so there's no real reason not to have that
for
ready
most
to
of them,
go.
there's no downside to it whatsoever.
That's such great advice.
You're just creating that safety net ahead of time, because once you need it, if the bank's busy, if you think about a typical bank, let's say they've got 500 home equity applications in the pipeline as of right now,
Yeah.
and you walk in their door. Okay, you're 501, and you've got to now convince them to move you up, and maybe it's a month-long process. That's too late. Just get it done ahead of time when you've got it. Otherwise, if you're the kind of person that saves, work on building that rainy day fund up. And if you're the kind of person that wants to set in a separate bank account, that's great. If you like it cash in a drawer, that's great too. Whatever it is, tip 2, find some way to save a little money aside so you've got it.
Yeah. Back to the HELOC. How difficult is it to pay off? What does a payoff usually look like for that once you take out a loan? Or take out, not a loan, but you take out some of the money on the equity?
The bank will tell you. They're great at working with you. You can kind of go through and say, hey, based on my situation, my credit score, how much I've taken out, let's say you give me a max of 100,000 and I'm going to pull out 50.
Mm-hmm.
What's it going to be? And they're going to tell you, hey, good news. If you take out 50, it's going to be $500 a month for X number of months.
There's a balloon at the end, usually.
It can be, there'll be some options, but once again, like, just ask the bank.
Yeah.
Like, that's easier and they will tell you, because they're happy to do that. That's part of their service they want to provide. They want you to use that home equity loan and they want to get it going. So just ask them. They're going to be, especially any kind of Rochester bank is going to be super happy to work with you and answer those questions. If they're not going to answer those questions, that's probably a sign you need to find a better bank.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. And then for saving money, again, I feel badly. This is the second time I'm going to do this to you. I kind of put forward right now the kernel of wisdom that I've picked up along the way that may not have any merit to it, but I've always heard you should have 2 paychecks, like whatever your paycheck is, you should have 2 of that amount saved as like a minimum of your go-to in case of an emergency. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, it can be anywhere from 2 to 6 months. Now, traditionally right now in 2025.
Yeah. 2 months, that's it. Not 2 paychecks,
but even with that,
2
in
months.
2025, from the industry statistics I've seen, it's close to 0.
Yeah.
People just aren't saving. So really kind of work on that. What can you set aside just a little bit every day? Even $10 a day is going to start to add up. But yeah, us as a country right now, we are horrible at saving. So that's, I guess, a little bit of a pass for you. But it's something we want to work on because you can't get that once you're in the hole.
Yeah, and you really think about it, I mean, outside of the pandemic was its own thing, but prior to that, it was really the bubble in 2008 when that burst. Outside of that, a lot of the kids that like Gen Z, they may not have experienced a true financial crisis like we had seen.
No, or they're just kind of getting into it. They don't really have a financial history or background.
Yeah.
They're just starting to build wealth. I mean, that first job is always amazing when you suddenly have some money. But it's a great time to start saving it.
I always feel like, to a total aside, that I had more discretionary funds when I was 22 years old than when I am with being a husband and a father and all that. Like, I didn't even worry about it. I mean, and I saved.
Yes, correct. No, for so many of us, that first job where you've got an apartment, you've got discretionary money like never before, and you don't have this history of bills and other things that's there.
Yeah.
Now, the downside to a lot of the current people coming up is they've got these student loans that you and I didn't have that are just crippling. Yeah. That's almost a whole separate ball of wax. If you come out of college now with $1,000 to $2,000 a month in student loans,
it's very hard. And now, it's as we know, there have been changes where they're going to go after that in the paycheck and things like that. So it's an ever-changing situation. So that's really hard. I feel for them, to be sure. So if you decide you can put money away, I'm guessing you don't want to put it in something that you can't access very quickly. This is for an emergency. So you mentioned putting it in the jar, but would it be better putting it in like a checking account or something like that? What do you recommend?
You're not going to see a big difference nowadays in that interest between like cash in the drawer and a checking account at 1%. Mm-hmm. At $1,000, that's not going to make a difference. Yeah. So just kind of personal preference. That's a lot of our advice comes down to, like, instead of trying to tell you what you must do based on what other people do, it's much easier to help people find success when you kind of find, okay, what do you do now? Like, how have you saved in the past? And if your answer is, well, I put it in a drawer in an envelope, great, keep doing that. Yeah. How do we change less habits, not more? Right.
Yeah. And I'm sure my son would say just invest in Pokemon cards. And what? Yeah. That's actually done better than the stock market. So who am I to, I don't know. I'm making that Although
It could be.
I remember them saying a while back, investing in wine was actually better for a long time than the stock market.
I mean, a lot of that stuff, it's that risk versus reward. I mean, a lot of people right now, it's a whole separate topic. I've talked about this before on this channel, like cryptocurrency as well. But it's all just risk versus reward. Pokemon cards, same thing. Like
exactly the same.
They're up right now,
disagree.
But they could crash.
Yeah.
A lot of the stock market can go up and it could crash. So what's your risk versus reward situation? How much of a risk do you want to take? And we get to some other really basic financial advice, diversification.
Right.
Great. If you want to invest in Pokemon cards or wine, okay, keep that as a small portion of your portfolio.
Right.
Because ultimately, over time, the S&P 500 in the long run does the best.
Yeah.
Very few people beat that over the long run.
Yeah.
So don't try. What are the chances that someone listening here that's not working on Wall Street is going to beat the S&P 500? You got a better chance of getting hit by lightning than you do of like.
And just because you hear of those success stories, or my cousin or my friend from high school did this with Bitcoin, but that might not be you.
And it's this flash in the bucket. Like they get so lucky. I mean, I've known a lot of friends that got really big into Bitcoin that, were millionaires.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the way to work, they got to work and they were broke.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that feeling of like,
the ups and downs.
I'm worth $4 million when I leave the office.
Yeah.
When I get to the office, I'm worth $40K.
Yeah.
Like that's a big swing.
I don't know. Emotionally, I couldn't handle that.
Yes. No, I've had some friends that they were one friend in particular. He was about to buy this very big house.
Yeah.
And luckily it didn't close because he lost it all because he didn't pull it out soon enough.
Wow. Yeah. No.
So risk versus reward and how much you want to take.
That's right. That's right. Well, very good. On the topic of saving for an emergency, as basically a security plan. Any other advice, Garrett?
I mean, I really kind of think have that home equity line of credit in place.
Yeah.
Save on the side, and actually save on the side. Have some money set aside, even if it's just $1,000.
Yeah.
$1,000 is better than zero.
And you know what? The anxiety that would relieve, knowing that that's there. Yeah. That's worth something too.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. Garrett Wagner, thank you so much for joining us. We really, really appreciate your expertise, and we hope to have you back again soon.
Hopefully. We'll see you soon.
All right. So Garrett Wagner, a local CPA, and he's a common face around here. He has been talking to us for a long time, so we always appreciate his advice, and we appreciate the advice that's coming from other financial experts. We're going to hit up a lot of different topics in the coming weeks and months, and we hope that you can join us, and not just join us, but also tell the friends and family about this, as well as we continue to march towards financial security. With that, I wish you all the best and take care.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.